Shalom and blessings, warriors of Yahuwah and the truth. Well, usually he leaves me alone. The Rapture from Latin Raptus. We are on the Return of Yahusha. The beginning is near on video 3. The Rapture from Latin Raptus, Greek harpazo. Concerning whether or not the elect will be raptured away for protection during this great tribulation, he says, "And if those days had not been shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened." Matthew 24:22. So, from this statement, we can assume the elect are still on earth, enduring till the end. Widespread interest in the rapture myth began in the late 19th century. It was considered to be heresy by every scholar of religious study, but because it favored the idea that the saints would be delivered from the Great Tribulation. That's why. How severe will our Father allow it to become before he intervenes? Scripture requires a matter to be decided by the use of a minimum of 2 witnesses. Witness number 1. Matthew 13 gives us a clear viewpoint of the end of the age in a parable, and it is later interpreted. A sower sows wheat seeds, Torah observant folks. The workers, Malachim, messengers, angels, notice weeds growing sometime later, which obviously represent those influenced by error. They are living without Torah, having received false teachings. The master is asked if he wants the weeds taken out, and he tells the workers, the messengers, to leave the weeds, lest a mistake occurs and some wheat is taken up with them. He tells them to let them grow together until the harvest. First gather the darnel and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my granary. Matthew 13:30. Verses 40 through 43 show the first to be gathered are the darnel, or weeds, unrighteous. Then the wheat, the elect. So the elect is gathered second, or last. The best for last. The harvest of the earth will occur at the end of the distress and is performed by the Malachim, the reapers. We read of the orderly procedure of the harvest at Matthew 24:29 through 31. And immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. And they shall see the Son of Adam coming on the clouds of the heaven with power and much esteem. And he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the 4 winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Mourn is howl, scream, wail. The false teachers are counting on the fact that most people don't study on their own. Most people will be ill-equipped to deal with living through the distress because they were not diligently searching for and receiving the truth.
This little thing they gave me.
Well,
it says boutique on it.
Yeah. We will deal with these matters later in the book and learn how we will be protected. Witness number 2. Mark 13:20. For in those days there shall be distress such as has not been from the beginning of creation, which Elohim created until this time, nor ever shall be.
Rascal. Okay, you're ruining
And if the
stuff.
master had not shortened these days, no flesh would have been saved.
You're done.
But because of the chosen ones whom he chose, he shortened the days.
You're going to ruin
This
something.
verse probably does not mean that the daylight hours will be shortened, but rather that the number of days of stress or distress will be reduced.
Dude, let me work.
This distress that will be shortened for the sake of the elect is commonly called the Great Tribulation.
I'm putting it away. No, I need to work.
The Latin word rapture doesn't appear in Scripture, but the idea of it springs from 1 Corinthians 15, 51, and 52. The identical word in Hebrew is lakach and means to snatch suddenly or to fetch. The chosen or elect are those of the covenant, Yahusha. They will be changed in the twinkling or blink of an eye, clothed with immortality. These will have been sealed in their foreheads with the name of our Creator for protection and identification. So the messengers, angels of judgment, will not harm them.
No, that's not what
The judgment on those without the seal of the name in their foreheads will be due to one simple reason. They rebelled against the covenant, the 10 Commandments. This decision or choice is very easy to make, since Hashatan's best lie to date is making people believe he does not exist. There is no conspiracy, and there is no devil, are big lies to fall for. The fallen Malachim hide themselves because they know that if people had evidence of their existence and their rule over all mankind, then Yahuwah really exists also. For these rebellious multitudes, the devil is not the one they have to fear at all. The one they will have to face is their Creator, and the day of wrath awaits them all. The wrath of Yahuwah.
Is that mold?
I don't think so.
Inside there?
No.
Just the way it looks?
Yeah, the light on it. The wrath of Yahuwah abides on their heads. This simple information has been suppressed until now, as the end of days approaches and the secret of Elohim comes to an end. It will be shouted from the rooftops just before the great deception is upon the whole world. The deception will be accomplished by spiritual manifestations brought about by the adversary and his messengers, masquerading, as usual, in the appearance of something they are not. They will masquerade as messengers of light when they are really of Hashatan. Deceptions sometimes involve giving the wrong dates. During a recorded teaching, a speaker gave a slight dating error that concerned the Babylonians. The speaker kept saying that it had been 5,500 years since the Babylonians performed certain rituals. This is inaccurate. From Adam to Noah's flood was about 1,656 years. So the flood occurred in the year 1656 AM, Anno Mundi, or year of the world counting from the year of creation.
AM?
Yeah, Anno Mundi.
That's like the morning.
Yeah. It just means the year of the world counting from the year of creation. The birth of Abram was about 1948 AM, 292 years after the Noahic flood. The exodus from Egypt was about 2448 AM. It is not possible for the Babylonians to have existed 5,500 years ago because the Noahic flood was less than 4,300 years ago. The oldest trees are about 4,200 years old, giving credibility to the fact that the flood really happened. Those 4,200-year-old trees are still growing strong. All other trees before them perished in the global flood. Here are some dates which most scholars agree are fairly reliable. Creation, 0 AM. Noah's flood, 1656 AM. Birth of Abraham, 1948 AM. Exodus from Egypt, 2448 AM. About 1484 BCE. Dedication of Solomon's Temple, 2935 AM. Destruction of Solomon's Temple, 3338 AM. Cyrus's decree, 3389 AM. State of Israel, 5872 AM. The formation of the State of Israel in 1948 AD was not regathering by Yahusha but rather was the first act of the United Nations, which had just been formed by the secret society known as the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations. Their plan was to plant the little state in the center of their enemies and be annihilated. Freemasonry's Anno Lucis, or Lucis, Lucis, AL for short, adds 4,000 years to the AD date. Anno Lucis means in the year of light. However, Lucis Trust is widely known to be an association that serves Lucifer, the bringer of light. Lucis is an esoteric term referring to Lucifer, a Latin name bestowed upon the adversary Hashatan. Increase of knowledge is the next section. As you look around the religious landscape, you'll see that most organized groups believe and teach a great deal of mutual truth, and many of them share belief in common errors. Yahusha told us we would not be able to see the kingdom by going to it. The kingdom of Yahuwah is within the individuals who have entered the new covenant, by their being convicted of sin, by looking at the Torah, the commandments, then repenting of sin and entering the water, calling on Yahusha to save them from this darkness or law-breaking. He then writes the Torah, 10 Commandments, on the heart of that person so they may love the Torah and thereby be spiritually alive and walk in the Spirit. There are errors embedded in popular customs of every sort because they come from pagan or satanic designs. The denominations, she had her head on my arm, of believing Christians, the denominations of believing Christians vary in their degree of tolerating previously pagan traditions. Jehovah's Witnesses are a step closer to the truth in some areas. And the Seventh-day Adventists are even more so. However, these are organizations which contain rigid, unchanging doctrines. New light or knowledge is not very well received into them. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge flow from the Spirit of Yahusha, guiding us into ever-increasing truth. Growth is a sign of life. The Jehovah Witnesses branched from earlier Christians during the late 19th century and have split at least once over various issues. They have set dates many times for the return of Yahusha, which is not a wise thing to do in the first place, because we will not know the day, the hour of his coming. They also insist that Mikal, a watcher or angel, is the being which became Yahusha and died as our Passover lamb. They teach a great deal of truth otherwise and warn the world of the harlot and Babylonian practices. The Seventh-day Adventists have a great deal of truth, such as the true weekly Shabbat, but they refuse to see the other Sabbaths of Yahuwah listed at Deuteronomy 16 and Leviticus 23. The annual Shabbats, or Sabbaths, they feel are only for the Jews to observe, but not Gentiles. That's not true. If you're engrafted into the vine, you're supposed to celebrate the feast days of Yahuwah, the high Shabbats, as well as every weekly Shabbat. The annual Sabbaths, okay, I read that, sorry. Actually, they should read the scriptures that insist that there is to be only one law for both the native-born Yasharelite and the foreigners who join themselves or engrafted to Yahuwah, all who observe his Sabbaths. See Isaiah 55 and 56. As Lou understands them, they are strictly vegetarian also. This will not harm anyone in Yahuwah's eyes, so it is not a sin. Lou avoids blood and only eats the approved animals listed at Leviticus 11, so swine, lobster, shrimp, clams, squirrel, turtles, snakes, skunks, monkeys, dogs, and so forth are not in Lou's diet, nor are they in our diet. Today, people are wanting to move closer to the original faith of the apostles, who were originally referred to as Natsarim. We are the Natsarim. These Natsarim were a close-knit group of the followers of Yahusha, and they remained as a sect within the broad spectrum of Judaism. Most of the first and part of the second centuries. The other sects included the Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, along with traces of others like the Zealots. Messianic groups all over the world see Christianity as a great harvest field, so participating in their study groups can be a great way to show them more spiritual truths. Other people's resistance to change really stems from a lack of personal study. So most will not be ready to listen to long explanations. We must let the truth lure them at their pace, which takes patience on our part. Often when we see someone reject a truth we share, it hurts us inside to see it happen. In the final analysis, we must not be limited to beliefs, but have the facts so those who doubt what we tell them can investigate what we share. Yahusha himself speaks to others through us, and to us through others. One must be careful as he studies other religions and the denominations within the broad area of Christianity. Such study will show you the origins of each one's beliefs and practices, but we must not exchange darkness for light. By study, you can gain perspective, and you will see that those who branched off and became a new sect had learned new basic truths which would not be accepted by the group they started off with. So those accepting new truth began their own groups, often named after a founder of some feature they promoted. What is important to remember in studying other religions? Hold on to the foundation of Scripture above all. You will be playing with fire, pagan mixtures, humanly slanted explanations which permit or forbid practices must be compared with what Scripture teaches, so discernment is always going to be necessary. Okay, so who are the folks working with truth in the last days?
I gotta figure out. I don't even think that his best will keep on. I'm like, oh, he's gonna actually wrap it off and be actually gone.
I don't think so. While many are lawless and blinded by human traditions, there are those who are awakened by the Spirit to see the darkness around them. In who are awakened by the Spirit to see the darkness around them. In the 31st chapter of Yirmiyahu or Jeremiah, the new covenant is promised in verse 31 and 32. In this same chapter, if you begin reading from the first verse, Yahuwah describes how he is going to build the maiden of Yasharal again. Yasharal being his wife, his Asha, his bride. Notice particularly the tribe of Ephraim, who are not of Yehuda or the Jews, but are of the lost tribes. For there shall be a day when the watchman will cry out on Mount Ephraim, arise and let us go up to Zion, to Yahuwah our Elohim. Verse 6.
Only one person, I can't do all that.
The Jews are not Ephraim. Ephraim was lost. I know, baby.
No, I'm being pushed.
But awakening
This is not cool.
as part of Yasharal.
Yes, Roscoe, I got
Most significantly,
this is for you.
these are called watchmen. And the word used in the Hebrew is Natsarim, the sect of Yahusha's followers. We are of those lost over the centuries. We reawakening among the Gentiles and returning to the Torah, Ephraim.
Okay, so stop.
Ephraim is a general term used for the descendants of Yusuf or Joseph, and they are also called Yasharal, the name of the nation in northern Yasharal during the pre-captivity period. Some translations use the phrase "hills of Ephraim," referring to the many nations across the earth, who the father of nations, Abraham, brought forth due to the promise to him. Natsarim are arising on the hills of Ephraim now. We have been sifted among the nations, scattered by wars, pursued and chased, lost and forgotten. Most have no idea they are anything but Gentiles.
Don't chew on
Our
the badge,
parents
rascal. No,
of
you
the
don't chew
distant
on it.
past forsook their
No.
roots. Sorry about that, guys. I had to pause for a second. The dog was being crazy again. We are trying to put his new vest on because his other vest is like causing his hair to come off. So, Roscoe, stop! That's your vest. You cannot mess with your vest. Stop it. Bad boy. Bad boy. Oh, sorry, guys. That's your new vest, Roscoe. Okay, so we were at. We have been sifted among the nations, scattered by wars, pursued and chased, lost and forgotten. Most have no idea they are anything but Gentiles. Our parents of the distant past forsook their roots and adopted the patterns of their surroundings, which were traditions of men. Many times it was because they chose to adapt just to survive. Now, as the end of days approaches, we are being called back to the covenant, even while dispersed and weak, to do a great work in the power of Yahusha's Spirit. For look, I am commanding, and I shall sift the house of Yasharal among all the Gentiles, and as one sifts with a sieve, yet not a grain falls to the ground. Amos 9:9, Yashayahu 56:8. Roscoe, you can't chew that. And I hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. I hope it wasn't too hectic in my video, because Roscoe's being bad. But the next section I'm going to be doing is the secret of Elohim is ending. Our thoughts are different from Yahuwah's thoughts. And if you guys like the longer videos better, I will also do how the beasts control the world order. And then leave it at that for that. Leave it at that for lesson number 4. We are on lesson 3 right now. I love you all. Shalom and blessings, warriors of Yahuwah and the truth.
Too tight. Wow.